right. Sort of Sports Podcast, episode 155. And first of all, congratulations to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are the 2025 NBA champions. And in Game 7, they did get the big win. So, I mean, I can't hate on them for that. They did get it done. And so, credit where credit is due. I did want to point out, I had some notes written down from games 5 and 6, because last time we talked was after game 4. I was going to point out, I felt like the Pacers get a lot of offensive rebounds. I even still felt like that in game 7. But overall, congrats to the Thunder. I mean, a long time coming. Fan base hasn't won a title. Obviously, the organization, for counting the Seattle Supersonics championships, haven't won since 1979. Finals MVP Dennis Johnson back in the day. So it's been a long time for them. And I think right now the big conversation is how much of a run can this be? How long can this team be good? But to be honest, I think most of the conversation, I'm not even trying to be this way, at least in my mind, a lot of it revolves around the Pacers. Because I took Pacers in 7. I have to state, I was wrong. I did take the Pacers in 7. Obviously, it did not happen. But I think a lot of people are sad to see their run end that way. Halliburton was coming out like, guys, he was locked in. Halliburton was ready to go. And it just sucks to see that run end like that. Like, it was an incredible run from Tyrese Halliburton. A run I don't think I'll ever forget. And to see it end with that injury, it just sucked. It was a terrible ending to an awesome run. And I think everyone universally would agree that Game 7 is so much better with Tyrese Halliburton in it. And I think a lot of the conversation is going to be, could they have won it with him? And I think yes, I really do. And I don't want to take away from OKC winning the championship, because who knows, right? Maybe OKC does still win with Tyrese Halliburton there, but at least then there's no questions asked, none of that. And I don't want there to be like a big asterisk around the championship or anything. I don't think there should be. But I am just saying, it just sucks from a fan perspective. We had such a great finals. And I think we were on pace for an incredible Game 7. And for what it's worth, the Pacers still fought. I mean, Thunder won by 12 points. It wasn't like it was a complete blowout. But once Halliburton went down, it did really just kind of suck the life out of what was on pace to be an incredible Game 7. And so that just really is really sad to see. And now the East just feels so wide open for next year. And we'll talk about that here in a bit. I want to give credit to TJ McConnell. Incredible. TJ McConnell was just balling out for the Indiana Pacers, no doubt about that. I mean, TJ McConnell had 12 points. Had 12 straight points for the Pacers. He was the guy that scored 12 straight points for them in the third quarter. They needed somebody to step up. That was him. In the fourth quarter, he kind of went cold. And Benedict Mathurin, they were down like 15. It might have been like 20. They were down a lot. And it felt like the game was over. And Benedict Mathurin just started getting pissed off. Like, I think he just flat out pushed Jalen Williams out of bounds. He just started driving every time he got the ball. And they kept fouling him. And I was like, if they somehow win this game, like, it got to a point it was like a 10-point game. Maybe it was 12. And I was like, are the Pacers going to come back? Because Benedict Mathurin is just out here basically just, like, fucking around because he's pissed off. And he just kept getting fouled and kept going to the line. And there was one play where he's completely double-teamed at the free throw line, decides to throw it off the glass and try to dunk it in himself. It was insane. I was like, what is he doing? Like, they're down like 20 points to the NBA Finals with like 7 minutes left, and Benedict Mathurin's like, time for me to throw this shit off the glass and slam it in. I remember just making fun of Alex Caruso for trying to go for that crazy dunk, which was insane. Like, I was watching that, and I was like, holy shit, like, what is Alex Caruso doing? But Mathurin trying to throw it off the glass to himself in the Game 7 of the NBA Finals in the year of our Lord 2025, that was crazy. I love Mathurin's attitude. That he's just fun. But yeah, I mean, it really just sucks for the Pacers. It was an awesome team, and like I said, we'll talk more about the future here in a second. We got to talk about OKC, because I really haven't spoke well of this team since I did my playoff predictions like a month and a half ago. That was like 2 months ago. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I haven't spoke well of this team in a long time. I know they did get it done. I think somewhat selfishly, I would negatively, I mean, this is pretty negative of me, but I'm thinking Yes, this Pacers team was awesome, and I think a lot of fans, me included, fell in love with them. I'm sure that Halliburton shoe sales, like if you could buy stock in the Halliburton shoe sales, I would right now. I think it's going to have a lot of play. But I don't think the injury would affect that. I think he gained a lot of popularity. I think people are always going to remember this run. If the Pacers never, I mean never, go back to the finals, it does not matter. People will always remember this run. And Halliburton's career will always be heavily tied to this, right? Now, let's say Halliburton comes back. Maybe he takes all next season off. In 2027, you will see people saying, they're my pick. They could win 45 games in 2027. But if Halliburton's healthy and the team's relatively the same, they'll be like, I take them to win. Just because this run was so incredible. And I think a lot of people, me included, believes they could have won with him. And that's really special. So I think a lot of conversations surrounding the Pacers, and I would say a little negatively towards the Thunder, this is a 68-win team. It's a team that a lot of people picked in 4 or 5 games to beat the Pacers, and it went 7, and I really felt like the Pacers were the team that deserved to win. And I think it's really weird because I think what frustrates me about this Thunder team is that I do think they're very good. I think they're a deserving champion. In this series, I did feel like the Pacers deserved to win. Thought they were just doing incredible stuff out there. But it's not like I'm like, I can't believe the Thunder won. Like, this is a 68-win team. This was clearly the best team in the league during the regular season, and they're clearly the best team in the West. Like, the Pacers have just felt like they've been the best team for the last month and a half, really, right? The thing is with the Thunder, I think it frustrates me is for how much accolades and praise they get. I feel like they're just not as good at, like, they're good, but they're not as good as people are trying to make them. Does that make sense? They won 68 games. I don't think they're 2 wins shy of 70. Like, that just seems insane to me, right? I think SGA is very good. I think he's a top 5 player in the league. I think a lot of people would deem him first or second right now due to, or at least that's the way he's trying to be portrayed, due to the MVP, the scoring title, the finals MVP, and the championship. But when I watch him, I mean, maybe he's third, right? But I still take Jokic and Giannis over him. I don't see a problem with that. And I think most guys it would be definitive, but like, I mean, he played well in this finals series, but I'm going to be honest, like, I think watching it as someone who was very much rooting for the Pacers, I was more afraid of Jalen Williams. I was genuinely more afraid of Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams is also weird, though, because they were comparing him to, like, Steph and Clay. And I'm like, I mean, maybe, but, like, Shea's good. I don't think he's as good as prime Steph yet. I don't. And I think some people would say I'm waxing poetic over 2016 Steph Curry. I'm not. Like, that guy was nuts. Is Jalen Williams as good as prime Klay Thompson? I think he's a little worse, probably. But, like, in a couple of years, I think this really could be as good as they're all saying. It just feels like we're crowning them a little early, if that makes sense. But granted, they did just win the finals. So, I mean, I just think... And, like, Chet's the big one. Like, people act like Chet is some, like, insanely good. I'm like, I think Chet's, like, I think Evan Mobley's better than Chet Holmgren. At least right now. And maybe that's terrible, but that's just the way I feel. I mean, we were doing Chet versus Wemby talks a while back. Now, like, Chet is the 3rd best player on this team. I think some people thought he'd be, like, the co-star to SGA. And just offensively, he's just not there. Now, granted, this team's very young, and that's the scary part of this Thunder team. Like, Chet could very much improve, and they could be as great as people are talking about them potentially being. And I think that's kind of the idea is, I don't think this is this team's final form, and they just won 68 games in the NBA Finals. I think that's kind of the conversation here. And I think that conversation makes a lot more sense to me than like, oh, this is one of the best rosters we've seen. SGA's Michael Jordan, he's Scottie Pippen, Chet Holmgren's an incredible talent. Like, I think that's a bit far. I think comparing him to the 2015 Warriors is maybe there, I would say. But just going straight to Bulls, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, I think is weird. Obviously, for what it's worth, I understand Scottie Pippen is probably Scottie Pippen was not offensively as good as Jalen Williams is. I understand that. It was more so the the Klay Thompson piece. But in the same sense, I actually have to maybe Jalen Williams is actually properly rated. He actually did play really well. He was actually good, killing it. He was good. I think SGA and Chet might be the two that get a little overhyped, but I gotta admit, like, Jalen Williams played damn good this entire run. Jalen Williams was kind of... I honestly thought there was a path for Jalen Williams Finals MVP. If he outscored SGA in the game last night, I actually thought there was a real chance that he won Finals MVP. Like, Jalen Williams was just flat out balling. Like, balling this entire playoff. So it's just, like, wild. But, I mean, it's interesting now for the East because Celtics don't have Jason Tatum. Kevin Durant traded the Rockets. I got to touch this real quick. I thought the Spurs were going to go after KD. They did not, so he's going to be with the Rockets now. I really like the move for the Rockets. The biggest piece they had to give up was Jalen Green, which, like, I think is maybe a net positive, honestly. So it's I actually think it's a great move. I think the Rockets are going to be really interesting next year. That is the move I wanted them to make. I didn't want them to just be like, let's run it back. Like, no, this is, and now it's just how good can KD be at 38? That's basically what we're looking at now, right? And if KD can be just like an all-star level, if KD can give him like 25 a game, it's a really interesting team. Really interesting team because they just need kind of somebody who's like the go get us a bucket guy. And if KD can be that, this could be a really fun KD team. It's just how good can KD be at this point in his career. And I do want to say, and I don't want to get like, I don't want this to sound crazy. I don't want this to be too much of a leap. But I am saying we are entering a little interesting point here in KD's career. KD's legacy is super messed up. Super messed up. He has 2 championships that no one really gives a shit about because they've kind of just become, you know what I mean? Because it was that crazy Warriors team, right? With Kim and, you know what I mean? It's just nuts. But Curry has 2 rings without him. And the Curry 2022 ring is one of the most legacy, like, defining rings I've seen probably since, like, I mean, we've had a couple legacy defining rings, like 2016 LeBron, 2011 Dirk. Like I'm saying, since like 2010, right? Your big legacy defining rings. Kobe going back to back, 2010, 2011 Dirk, 2016 LeBron, 2019 Kawhi, 2022 Steph. I would say, and 2021 Giannis, honestly. Honestly, the 1, 2, 3, 2021 Giannis, 2022 Steph, 2023 Jokic, those were all very needed for those guys. But I think the 2022 one really sticks out to me because that kind of like, the whole Steph being the best point guard of all time take really settled in after that last ring. After him getting 4, that's when that really became like a thing. That I think a lot of people under the age of like 30 just say that he's the best point guard ever, and I think it's a big part of that is for that finals. And is there a chance? Because if there ever was a chance that KD could get that ring, that just kind of like is like, wow, this took longer than expected, but hey, Kevin Durant, like you are one of the greatest players, like right, you are like top 15 all time. Some people maybe say top 10, right? Hell, there's probably people that think he's top 5, right? If there ever was a point for that ring, what if this is it? This Rockets team's a lot of depth. Hopefully they give Reed Shepherd some more minutes. I still think he can be good. What if this is the team? What if Kevin Durant, can he in his old age? Like, because I think this is his last shot. Having like a career-defining ring. Is it possible that in his old age, he can be the go-to scorer on a good Rockets team, a team that was the 2nd seed in the West last year? Could they win the finals? That'll be really interesting. I think it's a really interesting thing to follow next year, especially if they play the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals. Whoo! That'd be awesome. So that's kind of what's interesting to me right now is there a chance this becomes the KD legacy defining ring? That's what I'm intrigued by. That's what I'm very curious about. All right. As far as next year, you're looking at the East. Halliburton probably out for the season. Tatum probably out for the season. Cavs, basically the same team. Looks pretty damn good for my Pistons. Just want to say. Okay. Now, I think there's be a decent amount of people that say that we could see a leap from the Atlanta Hawks. I think there's also a decent amount of people that would say the Magic are going to be better than the Pistons. Those people are wrong. Cade Cunningham, first team All-NBA next year. Book it. 50-plus wins next year. Book it. So, Pistons are coming next year. It's going to be awesome. Let's get to work. So, could we come out of the East? I think it's very possible. Which is very exciting. All right. Is that all I have to say? I mean, we just crowned a new champion. I guess I should look at the season whole. I know the ratings were down. I also have to restate. I was actually wrong. The finals stick with ABC. At least that's what I've read. So even though NBC is going to be covering the NBA more than ESPN, I think the finals are still on ABC, which sucks. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I read when I looked it up. So, but I know I'd said in the past that NBC would have the finals. I think I'm wrong on that part, but maybe we'll get there next year and it'll be on NBC, and I'll be like, oh, okay, never mind. But I'm really excited for the NBA to move to Amazon Prime and NBC. I really have faith NBC is going to market the league better than ESPN has. I think you're going to see the ratings go up. I think you're going to see more interest in it. They are doing Sunday Night Basketball. Do you guys remember, people who have listened to this podcast a while know that I've talked about that they should just replace Sunday Night Football with Sunday Night Basketball as soon as NFL's up. And guess what? They're doing that. Literally the week after Sunday Night Football's over. After the Super Bowl, they're doing Sunday Night Basketball. Exactly like I always say they should. So that's pretty funny. And I'm not going to be like, oh, they took my idea, because, anybody with a brain cell could tell you that would make sense. Sunday night in America, I guarantee, is one of the top times that Americans watch sports, because they're accustomed to it from football. So just make it basketball now. Make it a marquee matchup, make it interesting teams, give us a good presentation, sell them on the storylines happening around the league, and let's run it, let's do it. And make the halftime show talking about everything going around the league, not just about that singular game. Do a really good job being kind of introducing all these storylines and building up to the next week. I think that could be a really good show. And I think NBC is going to do a good job if they try to, market the NBA storylines and actually care about the product and not just do bullshit drama that the ESPN coverage has been doing. And I'm really excited for that. Really interested to see what happens with Wemby next year. I said for a little bit, I think there's going to be a year where he just starts playing and it's okay, he's here now. He's one of the 3 to 5 best players in the league, and he will be there. He will be the best player in the league a few years following that, right? There's going to be a year where it's click, he's one of the best players in the NBA now, and, pretty soon he's just going to be definitively the best player, and it'll be that way for a long time. That is coming. I have no reason to believe it's not. So, is that next year? Is that 2027? It's probably next year, 2027, that he's just going to make that leap. So that'll be interesting. It's going to be sooner rather than later that he just makes the leap where it's oh shit, now Wemby's one of the best players in the league. That's going to happen really soon. So, that's cool. Looking forward to that. Very excited for my Pistons next year. The Thunder, I don't think they really changed anything. I wonder if they let Lou Dort go. The Pacers probably going to let Mathurin go, which, he's part of, the fun of this team. But, out of all the pieces, right, if you're, Nesmith or him, because those are two guys that's contracts are up, you're probably going to go with Nesmith. They probably are. Will the Pacers be back? Maybe. I really think they could. And I think a lot of basketball fans would like to see them back. I think a lot of NBA fans really wrap their arms around this team. They represent a lot of stuff I think big NBA fans want to see. They play. They don't just chuck a shitload of threes. Like they play like a good brand of basketball. They have exciting moments. It's just been a fun team. And it's not that the Thunder don't play a good brand of basketball, because I think they also do too. I think the SGA stuff, I think, like, whether you believe him to be a foul baiter or not, the narrative surrounding that, regardless of if you think it's true or not, is just distracting. It is. I think we were saved. If we had a Knicks Thunder finals, that would have been like a huge topic of conversation. I think we were saved that for this really fun Pacers run. Yeah, I think this was kind of. It's been a little bit since we had like just like America's team. It felt like it felt like the 2019 Raptors, or it just felt like everybody was wanted to see him win, and it was just like everyone I knew. It felt like was rooting. I knew one guy rooting for OKC, and I mean, if you're a Thunder fan, congrats. Like, have fun, enjoy yourself. But I think it was really fun to watch the NBA just kind of wrap, at least the fans to wrap their arms around this team, and just a really fun roster. I can name you the entirety of the roster. The entirety. All the way down to Ben Shepherd, Tony Bradley. Like, here's the thing, like, if I said that, you probably know who Ben Shepherd is, because he plays. Like, all these guys play. I don't think Jarris Walker got minutes last night, though. And I like Jarris Walker, but whatever. So it'll be interesting to see where the Pacers go from here, but I thought it was a really strong season. I think that was, even though Game 7 didn't deliver the way we wanted it to with the Halliburton injury, I think the two best finals of the decade are this and 2021. I think if the Pacers won this game and Halliburton was healthy, this would have been the best. If Halliburton's healthy and they lose, it's still the best, right? I think the Halliburton injury just makes it so it's maybe beneath the Bucks one, honestly. But the fact it went to a Game 7 was huge. It's been a long time since Game 7, 9 years. I'm super glad we got that. That was fun to have it all boiled down. The entire NBA season came down to 48 minutes. That's pretty awesome. And, yeah, I mean, if we got more finals like this, that would be awesome. But part of the reason this was special is because you don't always get finals like this. It's so funny in the NBA because I think there's a tendency to kind of pro wrestling it, and you want it to be the two big, storylines coming together, right? Like, you want it to be the LeBron-Kobe finals that we never got, right? We wanted it to be Cavs-Warriors, and it delivered, right? But sometimes you get something weird, like the Pacers. It was awesome. It was awesome. So, yeah. It was a great run. I'm literally thinking back I remember watching the Game 1 Tyrese Halliburton shot and just, like, jumping up and down. So excited. And I'm not even a fan of this team. Like, it was a great run for the Pacers, and I really feel for all their fans losing Halliburton. That sucks, and I really hope the Pacers can continue to be good. It'd be awesome if next year they just, like, balled out during the regular season and just waited for Halliburton to come back and they ran it back. Like, I don't think anybody would have a problem with them going to finals next year. I think everybody would be like, hell yeah, they're back. So, I mean, if they play my Pistons, though, that'd be a bit of a problem. Like, second round, Pistons, Pacers, come on. Come on, Pistons. Step it up. But, yeah. That's like will fundamentally, like, that run will define, like I said, Halliburton doesn't have to do anything the rest of his career. Like, genuinely. Like, I want him to, don't get me wrong. I'm saying he will always be remembered for this run. He will. I think one could argue, if he doesn't get hurt and they lose, I think maybe it's remembered less. Like, the what if of it will make it go on longer. And it's terrible that he got injured. Like, that sucks. I'm really disappointed by that. And I was very upset. And I don't know why they showed it so much. They showed it like 10 plus times. It was awful. Like, show it once or twice. That's it. We're done. But the what if piece of it, I think, will make it live on even more, for better or for worse. So that's also an interesting piece. So, okay, I think that is it. It was an awesome NBA season, another Hood Classic. Best season of the 2020s. Maybe. I don't know. Felt like all the storylines came together. Yeah, we had some injuries, but there weren't as many. There wasn't like a lot. There wasn't a lot of like, this guy's out for the whole playoffs, but his team is still the 2 seed injuries. We're in the middle of the series, and now our guy's out, like with Jason Tatum and Damian Lillard, and then of course Halliburton. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a really really fun season, and it was sad to see it end. So okay. All right, I think that's it. So I do want to say, I went and saw. I'm not a big fan of the live action remakes of animated films. I think they're pretty pointless, and I think the animation always. If something was animated, I don't think it's really gonna look better live action. Like you wouldn't do the reverse. Like no one would be like, hey, Game of Thrones is cool, but now we're going to do the entirety of the show as animated. Like, why? No. But if it was an animated show, they'd be like, oh, well, we're going to do the entire thing live action. And, like, there's people who are like, yeah, finally. I'm like, why? What? So, I think it's odd. It's just not for me. But I do end up going to some of them because my friends and or Genevieve wanted to see it. And so they wanted to see How to Train Your Dragon. And I went. And I actually had a pretty good time. The first 2/3 of the movie, I was kind of like, this is kind of pointless. What are we doing? Right? Like, who is this for? Well, actually, I know who it's for. People who watched the movie when they were younger, and now they're like, oh, I love that movie, and so they go see it in live action. Or parents that are like, oh yeah, it's probably appropriate. That'll kill an evening. Let's do it. That's what it's for. But I have to say, during the third act, they had this like grand Star Wars-ish score going down, and he was like fighting the big dragon at the end. It's not like I'm spoiling it for you. It came out in 2010. Like, it's the same plot as the first one, 15 years ago. But there's this grand dragon battle, and it was awesome at the end. And live action, I have to admit, it was pretty sweet way it did it. And the music was sweeping, and I'm thinking, okay, not a big fan of these live action remakes, but I have to state, if I was 8 years old, there are no big budget fantasy films made for families. Those are non-existent. Who is greenlighting a, $100 million plus budget movie that's a family film about dragons? That's not happening. Like, unless it is a live action remake, that film is not existing. This might be one of the rare times I'm actually pro the live action remake. Like, I actually have to state. Because I'm like, does it kind of look like an SNL skit? Kind of. I must admit, it does kind of look like an SNL live action parody. A little bit. Gotta state. But I am saying it is, there aren't a lot of, like, if this film somehow makes a studio go, we should take a big swing and make a big budget fantasy film, then I'd be like, sweet. That's kind of what I'm hoping. If we have to use the branding of this to make, does that make sense? I think it's cool that it exists. It was actually one of the few times I was like, you know what? Like, I can see it. Should this replace the animated? Hell no. Hell no. If you were like watching How to Train Your Dragon, we're watching the animated one. And they're probably going to remake the second one because it's making a lot of money. But I will say, we're not going to get a fantasy, big budget, live action, family movie. It's just not going to happen. So if we have to use the How to Train Your Dragon branding to create that, yes, it's a story we've already seen, and it is kind of pointless, but I will say, I'm kind of fine with it. Like, out of a live action remake to make, like, it's not like I guess I'm saying is if they were like, all right, live action Megamind, I'd be like, get the what the no, get out, like literally get out. What are we doing? I don't see a lot of purpose in Lilo and Stitch. And I think one could argue, well, you're not going to see a live action, big budget animated film about a little alien, are you? Yeah, we could like E.T. Right? Yeah, and I know we're wrong. Like, that's not 1-to-1, but I'm saying, but like they're not making like big budget fantasy movies just aren't made that much. They're just not. It's not a genre they're investing a lot of films into it anymore. They're just not. I mean, we had that King Arthur movie of Charlie Hunnam come out 2017. Guy Ritchie directed, and nothing ever came of that because it failed. It just didn't do well, right? So I'm saying like that. Those just aren't being made, and so in the same sense, for one to do very well, I can't be too upset. So I am saying I'm still anti live action remakes, but I do have to state this one was pretty fun. DreamWorks, please do not live action remake anything else. Just let this lie. Now, visually, I will say, a part of me was like, if we're doing it live action, why? Like, shouldn't the dragons look a little different? Like, they just kind of look like you just up-resed the animated versions. And I get they didn't want people to be like, why does it look different? But in the same sense, it's just kind of, I don't know, a little weird, a little odd. Gerard Butler has a great time playing the dad in this, and I was like, that's pretty fun. Like, he just clearly was enjoying himself. And so I gotta love that for him. That's pretty fun. But, all right, I think that's it. I'm going to be seeing 28 Years Later today, so if it's really good, I will be cutting a pod about that. But that's the end of the NBA season. That is all. We'll be doing another pod probably tomorrow. Yeah, have to be tomorrow, about the NBA draft. Because it's coming up Wednesday night. I thought it was Thursday. It's Wednesday night. So I got to record the mock draft tomorrow. So we're going to have back-to-back episodes. Maybe I'll talk about 28 Years Later in the next one. But that is it from me. I will see you all in the next one. It's been grand. Yeah, that's it from me. Okay. I hope you enjoyed the NBA Finals, and it was a good time. And if you go see How to Train Your Dragon, that's fine. It's just, you better be going to see Superman. That's the big one. That's the big one. All right. That's it from me. I will see you all probably tomorrow for the NBA mock draft.